afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this live broadcast. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, and today I'm very pleased to be joined by Jonas from Intrinsiq, who is now a familiar face on our live broadcasts. But today I'm especially happy to welcome Oscar. Oscar is coming from Genki in Japan. So welcome, Oscar, and welcome, Jonas. I'm going to start with a few questions and then don't worry, I'm going to explain what all this is all about and why I have these two lovely people from two different companies. Oscar, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about Japan, about Genki. How are things there? What's it like?
Well, Japan, talking about Japan is a bit long because so many things to say. But if anyone doesn't know about Japan, I mean, it's the country of the samurai. So if you really enjoy when you work in the culture of samurai, Japan is the country, and it's also the country of the sakura blossom, so the cherry blossom, so the famous cherry trees, beautiful cherry trees everywhere, and people doing picnic under the cherry trees, drinking some Japanese sake. So that's very nice. And also the autumn of Japan, that is very famous in Kyoto, that all the orange and red colors are super beautiful in the mountains. So it's a country that is combining very well the new technology and the old tradition. So you have cities like Tokyo that is super modern and never sleeps and a lot of entertainment. But others, you have cities like Kyoto or smaller ones in the mountains, very traditional with many temples and very harmonious and so relaxed. So this is the country of contrast and of adventure too.
I think so. And how about the school? So it's Genki, Japanese and cultural school. What do you offer at your school?
So Genki is not the typical Japanese language school. It was actually made started in 2005 for actually Westerners, because in the past in Japan, most of the Japanese language courses were focused on Asian people who have more Chinese country background, a different way of learning, and also different targets because they want academic Japanese basically. And in case of Westerners, they wanted something more conversational, more how the English courses are in Europe or in America. So we created this a different way of teaching, and then we are more focused on communicative Japanese, and we are using small classes of maximum 8 students per class to make the class very fluent and also very communicative. So they have to practice their speaking in class too. So it's not a class of 20 students where everyone is like on the back and no one is like the one to talk. In this one, everyone is facing each other and you're forced to speak. Okay. And that's our target, because once the students are able to speak, they are more willing to learn the difficult Chinese characters, the grammar. They are more motivated. They don't give up. While the traditional methodology was starting with grammar and Chinese kanji at the beginning and not speaking, and many Westerners were getting frustrated and giving up quickly. We turn it, and this methodology is giving us quite a success. And thanks to that, we started in a very small room in Fukuoka in 2005. And now we have 4 locations. So
wow! And where Tokyo, are your locations?
We added Tokyo in 2013, then Kyoto in 2019, and just last year we added Nagoya as well. Okay. So we are very excited with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well done. And obviously, this is the part where now I'm going to bring Jonas into the equation, because as the school has been growing, you also started collaborating with Intrinsiq. And that is the main aim of today's live broadcast, because we want to show our readers and our followers and viewers what it's like. I've often had Jonas and Mark on my live broadcast where we have spoken about, what Intrinsiq has to offer. But today, we're actually going to hear it from somebody who has been using the service. So how long have you been working with Intrinsiq, Oscar?
So it's been almost 4 years, because we started in 2018.
Okay.
So with the implementation, yeah, it was a big change for us because
Can
we
imagine.
didn't have a Syrian type system before that. And because we were starting to grow, we needed something to actually control better our bookings and have a more efficient system. So that's why we were recommended by another school, actually, Intrinsiq, and then we started to contact them and then start to work with them, yeah, at the beginning of 2018.
Okay. I know Jonas has prepared some questions for you in terms of how, how this relationship has
Yeah,
been going. So, Jonas, I'll pass the word on to you to ask those
sure.
questions now.
You already asked one of mine, so
Sorry.
we'll skip to the next one. No, I just wanted to maybe delve in further on what we did for you for Genki. What?
So first, managing our students' database, basically. So first to have in one place all the students, the information, and then being able to access it directly, and also to allocate students into classes, everything through the system. So the teachers were able to see which one the students were able to start the following week, in 1 month, and then allocate them into classes, do the schedule, everything online. And also the students being able to access a student portal online to see their schedule for the following week. Because we have a particular...
Sorry to jump in, because I'm kind of hearing this. So before you moved on to Intrinsiq, how were you managing all of this?
So it was more manual, I'm gonna have to say. It was more
Okay.
manual, and also because even if we were like growing as a school, we're still like a small independent school. So it is quite often expensive to get a system for that, and we needed time to save for it and to have enough students to make it worth it. So that's why we started to have this need in 2016, from 2016, and then we were like checking a lot of options, and because it's not easy to find the proper option for you, because we have also a quite complex system. So sometimes we were finding one option, but that was not compatible with Japanese, for example. That is vital for us because our teachers don't need to allocate students and need to write information in Japanese in the system. So whatever had one option didn't have the other one, so it was a quite difficult process to find. And
And with Intrinsiq, you found all of it.
yeah, mostly. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to find the perfect system, and that's very difficult. And but we end up having a good option. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. We always highlight that since Intrinsiq is custom made, it's built around what each school needs. So, yeah, continuing on that factor. Rather than on the software itself, I wanted to delve deeper into the relationship we had. How did it go when the system was being built? So, what was your feedback on that?
That was very complex. I mean, that was very like a very long process. I gotta say, because as I said, we had a quite complicated system, and to make someone external to understand it first, and why we wanted that, and why the teachers were working like that, it was complex. Because also it's not only having a complex system; it's different culture. So. The teachers in Japan don't work the same way as teachers in Spain or America. So it's different way of thinking, different way of approaching different issues. So that's why we were very, very particular, and that took a lot of time to make us understand each other. So yeah, the beginning was very hard, but that will happen with what, I mean, it's normal. I mean, it has to be. And then finally, after so many backs and forths and fixing issues because of misunderstandings or of this complexity, we were able, there was finally a good understanding after. So it's like married couples. At the beginning, you fight a lot, and then you get to understand each other, and then it goes well. So it was like this, like a married couple.
Exactly.
So hopefully now you live happily ever after.
Yeah.
fact-
Now it's much better. Yeah.
In fact, at Intrinsiq, we'd like to call it, instead of us selling you a software program, we like to call it a relationship. So it's us starting a relationship and building up on that throughout the years. What I wanted to mention was your system is both in Japanese and in English, right?
Yes.
So how does that work for you?
That was one of the main reasons we actually chose Intrinsiq, because to have a system that was compatible with Japanese, because it was vital for us. I mean, it was a must. So, and that was really helping, because we took care of the translations. Then we provided translations to Intrinsiq, and it was implemented, and it's working well, which is really a relief, because when we were looking for systems, none were compatible with Japanese. And even now that more schools in Japan need systems, still you don't find options that are compatible with Japanese. So that's a very big advantage for us.
Good. And okay, so this is my last question. I don't want to bore you with a lot of details, but what's your view on our support, our after-sales support?
So after the couple fight, that one now I think is good, and now actually we understand more each other, so it's more fluent. So now when we have an issue, it's well understood from the beginning, and we don't have to do too much back and forth. And so now I'm quite satisfied with it.
Great.
And it's interesting what you asked, Jonas, and what Oscar has said, because this is very much in line. Even when we publish your articles and when we share content about Intrinsiq, we always say exactly what Oscar has said, that at the beginning it's always a little bit more complex, because you guys really do try to understand the way in which the school operates. So in trying to do that, very often you're trying to do it remotely, because, I mean, even just to look back at the past 2 years, it wasn't possible to fly back and forth, to Japan or wherever. So it takes, I think Oscar described it perfectly. It's like a couple at the beginning of a relationship getting to know one another. And it's difficult when you're coming from a different background, when you speak a different language. So I guess it's normal to a certain extent that at the beginning the relationship is so intense when you're both trying to get to know, because that's what it is, one another.
We usually push on that because that's the way we work. We try to understand how the school works and then reflect how the system will be built based on that. So yes, at the beginning, it is difficult because we've worked with a lot of schools, but I can assure you that each school is different in the way they work. Some don't even want to change. So there's a bit of a situation there. But we usually try to suggest new way of doing things. And if the client agrees that it's a better way, we can change it. If not, we work around that, and as long as the client is happy, at least.
Exactly. And if I had to ask you, Oscar, what is your favorite feature of Intrinsiq? Earlier on, you mentioned students being allocated into different classes, so kind of like forecasting, if I understood correctly. Or perhaps there's another feature you like.
The scheduling for the teachers is one of the most powerful tools, I think, IQ by Intrinsiq has. But it's not the one I mostly use, because it's more for the teachers.
Of course.
Actually, the most important part for us of the system is the teachers management, and then after that, how easy is to use, at least for me, it's quite easy to. It's quite straightforward.
Okay.
So But yeah, mostly, yeah, I would say the the scheduling, the teachers, the students' allocations and scheduling.
Okay, and what do the teachers like about this, the student allocations and the scheduling?
That's very convenient to use, and that it works well. I mean, that is the main the main core of the system. So yeah, and of course, it was not easy for them to use it at the beginning because they were not used to a CRM. They were because some teachers, I mean, they get used to a way of allocating more manual.
Especially if they used to do it manually, shifting becomes even more
and
difficult.
Some teachers, they are not good with computers, so they are super teachers, but don't tell them to do too much in computers. So that was the challenge from our side. But once they get to use it, they are quite happy with it. So that was the most important for us. Because in terms of other sales part and that, all our marketing staff, we have some background already that it's easy for us to understand and see problems and even solve them ourselves too. So that's fine. It was not that was easy to manage, but yeah, the teachers part is what was the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, well, both Jonas and I do come from an academic background. And yes, we do understand that it's not always easy to convince people, especially teachers who have been doing something in a particular way for a while. And like you said, they would be excellent teachers and experts in their area. But obviously, when I guess it's like all of us, sometimes we are a little bit reluctant to changing. So getting used to something new is not always easy. But I'm glad this works for you. I mean, you've been at it for the past 4 years, you said. So still going strong. Any plans for the future for, maybe further development or further, growth from the side of the school?
I mean, the more we grow, the more requirements we'll need from the system. So now actually we are like first get money because it's been a long pandemic and still not over. So first we need to get students back. And then our plan is to save money to be able to invest more in the system and make it more efficient more for the marketing side of it, not as much as for the scheduling and the teacher side, because that's working. That's
Exactly. And I do have one last question. I don't know if you have any more questions from your end, Jonas.
No, mine are done. I think we covered everything.
Good. So the final question I have is that you mentioned that the school is growing. You mentioned that you now have 4 locations. How do you find using Intrinsiq with multiple locations? Does it run smoothly? Do you have to do anything different?
No, because the good thing is that we have 4 locations, but we have the same system in each location. So we have the same courses, we have the same models, everything. So the same scheduling. So it's basically divided by center, and it's quite straightforward. It's easily done and easily connected. And when every time we added a new center, if there was any kind of issue, immediately we were able to talk with the Intrinsiq support team, and we were having it solved easily now that we know each other very well. So,
exactly.
So that's not complicated. We try, and now we have 4 locations, and everything is working well. Even the scheduling is not having any issues. So we are happy with that.
Wonderful. Well, as long as you're happy, we're all happy.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. So from my end, I want to thank you both for being here with us today. Jonas, all good from your end? Anything to add?
Nothing. I think we've covered everything. Yeah.
Very good. Perfect. So thank you, both of you, for being with me today. Thank you, Oscar,
Thank you
for
for having
joining
us.
us for the first
My
time,
pleasure.
because by now Jonas is a veteran on these live podcasts. So I understand that perhaps the first time round it can be a little bit challenging, but you did very well. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all the very best, and I look forward to having you back on the broadcast sometime soon in the future, I hope.
Thank you so much.
Take care,
It was a
everybody.
pleasure.
And
You too.
to all those who have been viewing this broadcast live, and obviously to those who will watch the broadcast even later on, we will be adding Intrinsiq's contact information into the chat box. So anybody who wants to get in touch can. And we will also be tagging both Intrinsiq and Genki in our captions. So if any of you want to get in touch for anything in particular, even agents who are perhaps following this and want to get in touch with Oscar to start sending students, they want students, please do not hesitate to get in touch with them. That is what we're here for, to connect people in the industry. Thank you very much for being with us today, and see you on the next one.
See you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.